Welcome to the Vantage HR Influencers Podcast. This podcast is sponsored by Vantage Circle.
Whenever we talk about the future of work, technology almost always takes center stage. AI, data, automation, all of it. But I keep coming back to this one question. If everything becomes digital, then where does the human side of work really fit in? Because at the end of the day, what makes work meaningful is not just the tools that we're using, it's how we feel, how we connect, and most importantly, how we grow as individuals. And that's exactly what we're exploring today. How do we build a workplace that's digitally enabled but still deeply human? I'm Sanjeevani Saikia, and welcome back to another episode of Vantage Influencers podcast. Joining me for this conversation is someone who knows this balance inside out. Sangeeta Shetty, Head of People and Culture, Global Practice and Delivery at Ascendion. Hi, Sangeeta. It's a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you so much for taking the time. Before we dive into the main conversation, I'd love to get to know the person behind the insights. So, could you share a bit about your journey and what led you to where you are now?
Thank you, Sanjeevani. Thank you so much for having me here on this platform to hear me and an opportunity to express myself. Um, about me, um, by now I'm close to around 20, 22 plus years of experience in the domain of HR. Have navigated my path through different portfolios to start with recruitment, uh, HR, touching different, specific business models, change management, um, region to global portfolios, and many, different small time projects during the course of this career. Um, it has largely been into IT services, large Indian MNCs, global MNCs, small startups, core HR services, which has helped me with dealing with various facets of people in different dynamics. Of all the experiences that I've had, I think what stays common is the IT engineering domain and operating from the grassroots level and growing up the ladder along with the people alongside. Um, with all these, adding to inconsistent is the urge to make a difference. And that has led to, where I am today. I lead the people and culture for Ascendion, the engineering unit of Ascendion. Been with Ascendion for almost more than 4 years. I'll be completing 5 years coming Feb 2026. It's been a journey of its kind. I have leveraged and brushed up on all my entrepreneurial skills while putting this piece together, and I associate great pride to be part of Ascendion because of what it is.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sangeeta, for sharing your journey with us. I'm sure it has been incredible for you, and I'm sure our listeners have had a great time knowing you as well. So, with your permission, I'd like to begin today's conversation on the topic.
Sure, please do.
Great. Um, you know, it feels like every part of our workday is touched by digital tools now, whether it's how we collaborate, how we measure performance, or even how we recognize people. And while that's great for efficiency, I think a lot of us quietly wonder at what cost. Like if everything gets automated or digitized, do we risk losing the warmth and meaning that come from human connection at work? So, I'd love to begin our conversation by trying to understand from you, Sangeeta, how can organizations embrace technology without losing that very human touch that makes, work meaningful?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, and well said. Uh, that we are constantly grappling, I think that's the word. through our various conversations, through peers, colleagues, and when you just try to get a sense of what's happening around, all that what we get to hear is AI and technology. And as you also mentioned, we are kind of grappling with the situation. Uh, in the HR too, we are constantly navigating between how to balance ourselves with automation and at the same time uh, contain the authenticity that you bring to the table as HR, HR representatives. So how I feel is a lot of these digital tools have transformed from the way we work. Um, the latest buzz being AI, and everywhere and anywhere we try to incorporate or try to see how AI can make a difference. And certainly they do so. It's magical. Some of those experiences are really magical, where we have seen AI has taken away a lot of our transactional work. So, in Ascendion context also, we do use AI to screen resumes, and there is constant effort in different domains, different functions within the HR itself of how to eliminate the repetitive task, how to bring in AI in the world of performance management, L&D, and various other HR activities. And they're really incredible. They bring in a lot of efficiency, scalability, enabling with data-driven insights, which is often more precise than vague perceptions. So all in all, it's been a blessing at one end of you know helping us or letting us do more of what we would like to do than getting sucked into the repetitive task. But here's where it gets too tricky when we tend to lean on too heavily on the of risking and stripping out the very things that make work feel meaningful. The essence of our whole work is gone away if you lean in completely on the technology. For example, in digital, in onboarding, we have embraced and adapted some digital onboarding techniques, which is like faster and more scalable. But under my leadership, we're very mindful, and the people that we work together, we're very mindful about how we definitely do not miss the touch points. For example, when we onboard people, I talked about the onboarding process. There are a lot of these repetitive tasks which can be managed with these agents, AI tools. It could be in the communication, or it could be about mapping some processes in an automative fashion. But what we are not doing away with the touch points, we have a 30, 45-day connects with the leadership. The leadership then helps the people get a sense of belonging of what it takes for them. It has taken for us to build the company. The floor connects that happens. The manager, the mandatory step of manager connecting with the team member, the HR catching up with the employee, and most important of some of these, I connect with my people on the second week of their joining. And what we discussed there is about being more interested about the passion that they hold. That helps them connect with the culture of us. And so while we adapt a lot of these automations and technologies, I believe the secret is the intent. The intent of the people like us holding these portfolios to ensure, while we bring in tech to handle the repetitive and operational task and automate it, but we do not do away with these critical things which is helping us bring our emotion and keep us relatable with the people on the ground. End of the day, people stay for the culture, the people and the purpose. um, and that cannot be brought in by technology. That will definitely require the human touch. I hope that helps.
Yes, absolutely. I think, Sangeeta, you have highlighted a very important point that there has to
Mhm.
be an intent that there will be usage of technology, but it should not take away the human side of it. And at the end of
Yeah.
the day, you have again mentioned the significance of culture. So, yeah, I think
Mm,
these are some really incredible points that you've mentioned. Building on that,
mm,
when people talk about a digitally enabled workplace, it sometimes, feels like a vague vision statement. They're just saying for the
mm,
heck of it, overused, mostly abused word, But in
mm.
reality, what does that balance look like day to day? Like, how do the tools, the workflows, and people actually interact in a way that feels smart, digitally driven, and human centered? So, how does it look like in practice?
Um, So for me, when we talk about culture, when we talk about people, it reflects in the smell of the place.
Mm,
What we are putting, what are the ingredients that we are putting together? And when I say smell of the place, it sounds human, isn't it?
yes.
So we wouldn't want to take away that part of our existence.
Mm,
Um, how I look at it is we cannot undermine the importance of technology for sure. We are all experiencing the blessings of it in some or the other way, and more so personally, professionally, every facet. You don't need to be technology savvy to be experiencing all of that. It's just building on all of us. However, how I look at it as is workplace where technology acts as a silent enabler,
mm,
always present, but need not be the face of it alone, which is kind of working in the background and helping us do a real focus on people and purpose, referring to my earlier point. This reminds me of this movie. If you've seen this Iron Man,
mm,
uh, where Tony Stark,
mm.
who uses his AI assistant, Jarvis, right? His primary AI assistant, which manages the armors, performs the checks, provides the real-time battlefield support, and also guides him on business ventures and scientific experiments. And Jarvis serves as a voice interface for, the advanced suits that Tony Stark is holding. However, if we notice, while he has this AI assistant, but at the heart of every decision that Tony is making, who is Tony? In contrast, he is an individual who is flawed, who is emotional, who is unpredictable, who is deeply human,
Yes.
who is prone to arrogance, who is vulnerable, and holds intense emotional experiences. Uh, this is exactly how I see the workplaces to be.
Mm,
We are kind of building our own versions of Jarvis, I feel. These technologies may be sorting resumes, tools. It gives us speed, precision, and scale like, we wouldn't have imagined before. And it just amazes each of us. But again, it may, at the cost of being repetitive, we cannot remove the human from the equation. If we hand over too much of it, we lose the essence of specifically the HR portfolio of what we are doing. So let AI and automation handle the noise so we can focus on purpose. Let the digital tools process the data so we can hold real conversations with people. Let the technology handle the complexities so we can be a little more compassionate to our people and we lead with it. So, so in that sense, in nutshell, um, we will have these most high-tech suits, just as a Jarvis is, but still the human side is the one that will save the day for us. So, so relationship between the Tony and Jarvis underscores the distinction, and that is the distinction which I also look at when I think of workplace.
Yes.
Again,
Yeah.
something related, yeah, to. But
Yeah.
I think the message is to convey how it will still be an enabler, but not eat complete part of us.
True. I think you have, explained this part with a very good example, something that we all can understand and relate to. So, again, incredible. So, Sangeeta, something else I have noticed is that companies often chase whatever trending in tech, whether that's AI, VR, or the next big platform. And sometimes it feels like these changes are more about keeping up appearances than genuinely helping employees. So I guess the big question is, how do leaders slow down and ask, is this tool really serving our people, or is it just adding to the noise and nothing else? So, what would you say on that?
To my approach, having while building, pieces together in Ascendion, my attempt often has been to look at what is the objective that we are trying to meet. When we started also having come from large IT setup and having seen what was available there and what it takes for us to emulate or put something like that together, it was easier for me to get carried away with what the best practice is and let's just copy. Yeah. Instead, the approach that I have always adapted and I feel that works well is what is the need on the ground for me? Is that and prioritize my action towards that need rather than be part of the bandwagon and follow the trend. And that has been a secret sauce, I feel, for so many things that we have built in Ascendion. Exactly is the approach for uh, digital transformation in my view. We are a company powered by AI. That is our offering to customers and the clients. While doing so, again, it's natural for us to fall prey to, adapt everything just in order to be falling and appearing, being part of a box or a category. Um, uh, that I suggest could be the shift what companies should be looking at. There'll be several things, and there is no dearth of what all that can come in. But what is required for you to focus on should be the priority. What are your people struggling with? Is it onboarding inconsistency? Is it feedback delayed? Is learning hard to access? What stage of what stage of growth is your company into, and also the business model that you operate with. I do recall we have had instances where we were trying to follow the VR approach in order to give a glimpse of our organization to people. It takes a while to build there, but that in time, we stepped back and we started looking at, is this worthwhile the investment of time and effort for a setup like ours, which is growing? We rather focus on the experience. So the key is, in the process of meeting the business case, not ignore the human case. Uh, a chatbot probably may save hours in service tickets, but it may not reflect the way, it may not speak in the way that reflects our culture. So probably we don't endorse completely to the chatbot, but we still keep a flavor of what it is to be called or being part of Ascendion. Um, so, in my view, numbers cannot be a measure alone of how many technologies you adapted or how many AI interventions you did. But is that meeting the purpose? Is that elevating the experience? So experience matters. Not just don't digitize for the sake of being modern, but digitize to be more human at scale. For a size like us and for the growth that we are, the growth charter that we are on, the constant need is to ensure, however big grow in size and scale, the essence of what our people and culture is do not go away. Effort is to automate while strengthening the relation, empowering people, and simplifying work so that, our people who have come together to do a difference can do more of that and not get stuck into processes.
Yeah, again, agreed. So, I'd like to talk about connection here, since we have discussed about uh, digital enablement. At the same time, we are
Mm.
also discussing the human side of it. Now, here I'd like to talk about the connection, because in a hybrid or remote setup, most of our interactions happen through screens. And honestly, while tools like Slack or Zoom keep us connected, somewhere I feel they don't really
Mm.
make us feel connected, for that matter. But I've also seen organizations experiment with creative ways to use these platforms to build empathy and a sense of belonging, which somewhere makes me wonder, what are some creative ways organizations can use digital platforms to build that real human connection and empathy. Okay, so Sangeeta, I think now I'd like to talk about the connection. That is something that we have to discuss, because in a hybrid or remote setup, most of our interactions, it happens while we use our screens. It happens through screens. And very honestly, while tools like Zoom or Slack, they try to keep us connected, but they don't really make us feel connected. If I'm being a little honest here. But I've also seen organizations experiment with creative ways to use these platforms, again, to build empathy and sense of belonging. So yeah, it's not an entirely useless process. So I gather that. Which makes me wonder, what are some creative ways organizations can use digital platforms to build real human connection and empathy?
We'll do that. Thanks for asking this question. It just helps me give you a very interesting part of my early days when we were building Ascendion. As I mentioned, I come from a large setup where we were equipped with all the relevant tools for to create that engagement or connection. But interestingly, when I joined Ascendion, and we were at the peak of COVID 5 years back, then I think the rules of the game were same for everybody. Irrespective of the fancy offices that all had, everybody had to rely on the Zoom or the Teams to do as much feel connected, just as your question says. But I feel technology is helps us on how we connect, what is a channel. But the real magic is the and what is the intent? What do what is the intent around that? And a lot of these pieces come together. We talked about different technology tools for automation, but how those small connects from the leadership, HR emphasizing on the passion of individuals makes a lot of difference. And believe me, after joining Ascendion, we've been leveraging Viva Engage, Microsoft Viva Engage for creating that connection. And in my view, as versus the 20 years or 19 years of experience that I've had in the physical state, I wouldn't have built so many connections, as much as I did through the Viva Engage in a very short span. And we have been spread globally across. Why I would say this is because we as a company believe in the concept of complete you. So we do not just restrict or limit ourselves seeing an individual from a technology standpoint. And that reflected in all of us speaking, my leaders speaking, keen interest in an individual, we emphasizing on an individual's passion and not discarding them from what we worked on. And when we say this and when we were walking that path, we brought a lot of stories to life on Viva Engage about their passion. So my last note of connections with people would be I'll be keen in looking at what do you do on your DIY, what are the travel stories, and people start bringing that into the Viva Engage setup. And these topics require no knowledge of technology. It just instantly creates that connection, and that connection I think percolated across me, or a poetic side of somebody that has created the connection. So, Viva Engage is just one example. Likewise, on all the tools that we may have brought to life, has emphasized on the need of and done enough to ensure people understand the intent of that. And when they understand the intent, they feel more connected with it. So, Viva Engage is one such tool. There are different avenues, our intervention, something like an invox is inner voice. The blend of these two, talks a lot about how we are helping them bring out their inner voices, is basically giving feedback for the managers, but how we have binded the whole intervention. While we have used the technology, we have a dashboard view, which we would have otherwise done through a manual exercise. So we have brought it there. But what is the guiding principle of that concept? We have made enough effort to emphasize on that concept. So technology will stay, but the line of thinking, the value system uh, that you are trying to bring along is very, very important. Probably with the time that we've saved in those skip meetings and actual skip meetings and manual exercise through the automation and dashboard, we have used the same time to emphasize more on the culture and the intent of strengthening between the manager and the team member. You get that? So, how we have to play and leverage the technology wisely such that we can do more of what we are meant to do. And hope that helps me explain you the point.
Yeah, it did. I think you have lucidly explained this once again. We are reaching at the end of today's episode, Sangeeta. So, to round this all off, there's one area that I cannot not bring. And, very obviously, that's data and AI. They give leaders so much power to understand their people, like, spotting early signs of burnout or identifying where teams need support. But at the same time, if employees feel like the technology is crossing surveillance, somewhere the trust can definitely disappear, and it can disappear faster. And honestly, once that trust is gone, no shiny tool can really bring it back. I hope you'll agree with me on this. So Sangeeta, help me understand, how can companies leverage these tools responsibly while still keeping employee trust intact?
Yeah. Thank you, Sanjeevani. Again, it quickly gave me a flashback of a workshop that we have been doing on, creating an agentic AI first mindset among our delivery leaders. Um, because there is the symbiosis of AI and human workforce that we'll all have to operate with. So there is an effort where myself, along with the business leaders, are working on to help people adapt to this mindset in a very structured fashion. What is the repeated term coming through all of this is um, ethical responsibility. So as a service provider to our clients with different agents or AI tools, this has been a common, and this has been a very careful effort to emphasize and establish that while we'll build everything and the possibility is immense, but some of these guardrails will be the important part of the offering. Likewise, as a people and culture, for us, the guardrails are, our data could help us uncover a lot of these trends, identify risk, and improve experiences. But the moment we, as custodians of, the trust, just as you said, we use these insights, these trends without empathy or a context, we have a chance of shifting or building that perception for people to see us that we're moving away from the support to then checking. So I remember this line exactly when one of our leaders said that when since I've had experience of these other companies, we would have installed some of the tools to check on people on their break timings and actual productivity. Very consciously, our leader had said that I don't check on people. I check in with people on how they are doing. That stays true for everything that we exercise in the automation or the technology or AI tools we'll adapt. And so, responsible AI is built on three pillars, I feel: transparency, context, and care. So, so we don't, especially the HR fraternity, don't get buried in the policy, but be as open and keep the ongoing conversation. So people on the other side do not feel like data is being used on them. They should use that it is used for them. That's an often critical reminder for all of us and should be one, because trust cannot be built by software. It will have to be built or earned over the period by people. And we kind of, HR happens to be in the forefront on this job.
Yes. Again, well said. And again, your colleague also said something very good, that he doesn't like to check on people, but check in with them. I mean, check in with the people. So I think
On
that's
how-
again, yeah, that's again a great takeaway. Also, I think you've mentioned the three pillars: transparency, context, and I guess the third one is
Yeah.
scale. Yes. So yeah, again, thank you so much. I had a wonderful time. In this podcast with you, we had like discussed something that is very crucial in today's time. Uh, we have reached the end of today's episode. So, Sangeeta, do you have any final message for our listeners? I'm very sure our listeners would be delighted to hear it from you. Also, kindly let them know the best way to reach out to you, because I'm sure post this podcast, they would love to stay connected with you.
Um, one message, as you asked, for all of us, it'd be a reminder that AI certainly must be helping us build smarter systems, but we have a very important job to build stronger relationships. This is the summary of everything that I spoke. And stay connected with me. Look for Sangeeta Shetty. You'll find me there.
Great. Thank you, Sangeeta. Thank you once again for joining in, and, thanks for giving us your time. And yeah, do stay connected.
Thank you, Sanjeevani. I enjoyed the conversation
Same.
too. I hope my perspectives do add value to the overall objective. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Vantage HR Influencers Podcast. Please do subscribe to Vantage HR Influencers Podcast YouTube channel for new episodes.